Okay, welcome everybody. Episode 48, number 3 of the season. The number 48 in our total recording history here. We're moving right through. Hey, Puff?
Almost halfway to a century.
Almost halfway. We got a little bit more to go. I feel like season 3, we'll get into the end of this little bit of numbers, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll see how we do. So anyway, number 48, you got a player for me?
I do. I just got back from work. I was doing the Leafs Canadian season opener, and there was a 48 on the ice that I think is going to take the NHL by storm. And Lane Hutson, he's a rookie for the Montreal Canadiens, offensive defenseman from the USA. I think he's going to have a season. He's a heck of a player. There's not a lot of 48s in the NHL, and I think he's going to make that number his.
Nice. And I was watching the opening of that game. I had to miss the ending because I was putting my son to bed. But the guy on the crutches at the front, there was a big, long intro to that game.
Yes.
Who's the guy on the crutches? He got a huge cheer.
Patrick Laine. So his little story. So he was drafted second overall, one spot behind Austin Matthews, and by the Winnipeg Jets. And then he's kind of had a bit of an up and down career. He went to Columbus. He's had some mental health issues. And then he was traded to Montreal this offseason in a kind of a big trade to kind of get his kickstart his career. And in the preseason, he got kneed in a game against Toronto, and he hurt his knee. So he's probably out 2 to 3 months. But the Canadian fans have really embraced him and are giving him a lot of support because, I think he looked like he's appreciating it. And I think he's going to thrive there. I hope he comes back healthy soon.
Yeah, he killer suit on. Is he from Montreal then? Is it because I know there's a big love for like Quebec players in Montreal, obviously.
He is from Finland.
Oh, okay, he's from Finland. Yeah. All right, so just a heartwarming story of a community getting behind him, I guess.
Yeah, get behind a guy, which is great.
That's good. Yeah. So, well, it's exciting. So we are recording the night of the Leafs season opening game. I guess not at the Scotiabank Pond. When's the home opener here?
I'm actually not sure. I'm guessing Saturday night because they're playing Thursday night in Jersey. So then they'll probably head home for Saturday.
Okay, good. All right. Well, that'll be exciting. So yeah. So anyway, we had a busy week coming off getting into regular season on GTHL. For everyone listening, we're in the first week of GTHL. I know we're midweek here Wednesday. So you had Austin's home opener on Monday. How did that go?
It went pretty good. We were at Scotia Pond. I was coming straight in from work, so I was coming in hot. The traffic was terrible coming in that road. There was it was a busy parking lot at Scotiabank on Monday. So I'm heading in that road that winds in on to get you off
Carl Hall.
Off Shepherd.
The Carl Hall road.
Yeah, that was called Carl Hall.
Do you know why it's called Carl Hall?
I'm guessing you know why it's called.
It's funny you asked, Puffy. It's funny you asked. Okay. I have a little history here of who is Carl Hall. So I think it's really, and we'll get back to our weekend GTHL play here, but I think it's really interesting that we always play at the pond. A lot of people go to the pond all the time, and you always go on Carl Hall Road. Whenever I type it into Waze, that's where I take it. And I've always wondered who is Carl Hall, and I don't think I'm alone in this. And maybe some people know who Carl Hall is. Do you know, Puffy?
No.
Well,
my only guess is there any chance he has something to do with tennis?
No, nothing to do with tennis. I don't think so. Let me go through my notes. I don't think so, but I will tell you his full name was Carl David Hall, born 25th, 1920, from the great city of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Nice. In World War II, Carl Hall served as a fighter pilot with the Royal Canadian Air Force. He was a member of the RCAF 411 Squadron, a fighter squadron that participated in many significant WW2 air battles. His nickname, he was often called Dave, not David. Just Dave was his nickname. That's what it says here. I'm not making this up.
That's awesome.
He flew fighter aircraft, primarily the Super Marine Spitfire, which was one of the most famous and effective fighters of the war. He became a fighter ace, meaning he achieved at least 5 confirmed aerial victories, which really, in simple terms, means shooting down the enemy.
And with the enemy, they would have been Nazis, right?
Nazis. I don't. Yeah, it could have been Japanese. Could have been
Okay,
Italian.
yeah, that's
You know,
true.
there was
That's true.
the. Yeah, it could have
Good
been
to
any
know.
one of those. But he has 6 confirmed like wins, I guess, in World War II, making him one of Canadians' like best fighting aces we had. And his first confirmed victory was on August 18th, 1941, where he gunned down a German aircraft. So there you go. So it was German.
Nice.
He was mainly in Europe, escorted bombers. He participated in D-Day. He played a role in the air operations during D-Day invasion of Normandy in June 6th of 1944. He survived at least one crash during his wartime, which was he was hit by enemy fire, and he had a crash landing and survived. He rose through the ranks and became a flight lieutenant. And after the war, he returned to Canada and pursued various civilian operations. He lived in Toronto. He continued to contribute to the aviation and military community. And Carl Hall Road in Toronto is located near the Canadian Forces Base, which is the Downsview base, that where Scotia Pond is. So yeah, he is a Canadian hero, Carl Hall, and it makes sense that he is remembered in a way like having the road named after him at the military base. His legacy is remembered at Downsview Park, a former military area, and now serves as a cultural and recreational place. What else do I have here? He passed away sadly in 1989, but obviously through different memorials and things like that up at the base, he lives on. So Carl Hall, for those who didn't know, that's a little history of Carl Hall Road, which is where Scotia Pond is on today. So there you go.
I will definitely think of him. Definitely worthy of a road. Now, the thing that caught my attention was when you talked about his wins. He had 6 wins, you said.
Well, yeah, in my notes here say he had 6 confirmed victories, which in brackets means shooting down the enemy.
Yeah, so I wonder if there's like he had 1 loss because he said he got shot down, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that would be considered a loss, but he didn't die.
So I wonder if there's how many pilots have more than 1 loss. Like they survived multiple getting shot down. That would be interesting. Who leads the world in losses?
Yeah, I wonder if a shot down, not die is actually considered like a tie, because I think what my here has is that it's 6 confirmed kills, really is what the note says. Meaning the win is that, the surviving maybe is a tie, and then if he obviously was shot down and killed in battle, I don't know how they're ranked.
I think it should just be if you shoot them down, it's a win, and if you get shot down, you lose, whether you live or die. Hopefully everyone lives.
Yeah, hopefully. That's not what the note says, but I think I like what you're saying. So
I like my scoring system better.
So how did it go up at Scotia Pond for Austin? Who were you playing and who won?
We played Forest Hill, the season opener, and we actually played pretty well. We lost 5-1, so the score doesn't seem like it was that close.
New team, though, right? You have like a new team.
New team. The kids played hard, and we carried the play a lot. A lot of the goals we gave up were kind of against the run of play, and they in credit to them, they finished their chances on the breakaway. We got caught a few times on odd man rushes, but it was I thought it was a pretty successful first game, and I think we have a lot of room for improvement, and I think we're going to improve quickly because it's a great group of kids.
Spoken like a true everyday man, right there.
Yes, but that's everyday.
And then Barrett, does he have a game?
Barrett's season kicks off on Friday night.
Ooh,
and I have a little bit of a bone to pick with the GTHL.
Oh, here we go. It's the beginning of the season, Puff.
Now that the kids have gotten older, so like my interest in the game skewing a little bit older, but I still obviously am keeping track of all the youngsters out there in the earlier games. But like pretty much all the games now are like 9 or 9:30 starts. I was at work, and one of my buddy's kids plays on the Vaughan Kings, and we were wrapping up our work shift at 9:30, and his kids' games puck was just dropping.
This is
and it's
tonight.
like these kids are now playing on the West Coast. Yeah, it's like late games every time, and it's like they're grade 9, grade 10. You know, like it's pretty late for them to be. I don't know. I mean, the simple solution is just more rinks, more pads, so everything's can get, because you can't, the way with the pads we have, you can't schedule any earlier, but it's like men's league already. They're playing basically men's league times.
Well, they're prepping them early, really, for the majority.
I guess they're getting them ready for their future.
Well, we're the same. Our like dedicated home time is 9:10 every Sunday. So like this weekend, on Thanksgiving weekend, Sunday night of Thanksgiving weekend is our home opener against York Mills Rangers, and of course the Rangers, and so it's at 9:10.
Hold on, is York Mills the Rangers?
Yeah, and I only found this out.
Are you sure?
Yes, 100. I'm pretty sure. Because
I never knew what York Mills.
I think it's the York Mills Rangers, and I'm pretty sure. Anyway, the reason why I'm pretty sure about it is because I was in the Brian Steele tournament this weekend.
Yeah,
and I went into the the what do you call it, the foyer of Canland there, where they have the screens up on who you're playing and stuff. And it said York Mills Rangers is who, was on the board. And I was like, oh, of course they're a Ranger too. Everyone's a Ranger. Wow. So we're playing York Mills. I did not know that. Yeah. And we're down 2 players though. We got a broken leg already from a practice last week, and we've got a head injury from a game at the Brian Steele tournament, which, so we're down 2 already, which is really too bad. And we're so we're starting the season off with a little bit of an injury list, which is unfortunate. So, a shout out to Henry and a shout out to Ryan. Hopefully they turn things around. I think Henry will be out for a little bit with the broken leg, unfortunately. So, weird accident at practice, apparently. So, really sending thoughts into that guy.
There's not the same kid who would always break. You had a kid who broke his
leg. No. But that is the one kid who has the head injury, unfortunately, the other side of it. So, Ryan's been out. So, it's been – we were playing some rough teams in the Brian Steele.
Was it a physical tournament?
2 win, 2 loss. I think just that, going back to the interview we did with Abu, we remember he's like, the kids are just bigger, they're faster, and those things just happen. And then you throw in like testosterone and boy rage, and did they eat today, and they got a little bone to pick with this guy. It just gets a little rougher, you know what I mean? It's a little harder in the corners, it's a little faster coming into the puck, all those kinds of things, which I think everyone notices. And you definitely notice it in the single A U16 league, because they're big kids playing non-hitting, but they're coming in hot. So anyway, we had a chance to maybe beat the Avalanche. They beat us at the end, so we didn't get to carry on. So we had Sunday off, and but we showed up. We played 2 wins, 2 losses, and I thought we could have done. It was like team's looking pretty good. They're starting to gel. We've been a team together for a long time. Unfortunately, with the injuries, that doesn't help. But Ozzy got a shorthanded goal at the Avalanche game. They'll break away and got it. And I think I'm now in favor of the rule that the is it the WNHL?
The PWHL.
PWHL. They where you get the penalties over if you score shorthanded, right? I think
it's called the jailbreak.
Jailbreak. We should have a jailbreak rule.
Yeah.
Anyway, just my 2 cents on that. So anyway, that was my weekend, and then we're going into our home opener, and off we go. That's it. Thanksgiving weekend. See you later for the rest of the winter season.
Yes, I do think that we're definitely now ramped up. Practices, games are coming in hot. Tournaments. Yeah. It's definitely a busy time of year.
So speaking of which, let's get into it. We're in the week 1 of the single A, double A, week 2 or 3 of triple A. I think it's time to have the stock market. We're at the beginning of the season. Lots of people want to make their investments. What's the Stoff Market saying?
All right, guys, here we go. The segment everyone's been waiting for.
Oh, yes.
And Puffy, last week, GCAT suggested that we focus on the U16 AAA big money division at the start of each Stoff Market. So tell me, what's happening in the GTHL's flagship tier?
Well, Stoff, it appears we are going to have a very competitive U16 AAA division this season. Just 2 of the 12 teams failing to register a point thus far. For one of the winless teams, it's a bit of karma, as the Mississauga Senators had some shady roster moves this summer. The top 2 ranked teams in North America, the Don Mills Flyers and the Toronto Titans, are both off to terrific starts. But Tuesday night, JRC showed they're a team worth tracking. They took a 1-0 lead into the third against the Flyers, but 2 third-period goals, including the winner with just under 5 minutes, gave the Flyers a 2-1 win at the Pond. However, JRC showed they are ready for the challenge they're ready to challenge for the league title this season.
Hey, quick question there. At the beginning,
Yes.
Did you say those 2 teams, the Titans and the Flyers, are 1 and 2 in North America?
Yes. Yeah, they're the 2 top ranked teams in North America right now.
Wow. And how many of do you have it readily available on how many are G teams that are in that top 10? Is the rest American teams or?
There's definitely some American teams. I don't have it right available.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But
top in North America.
Yeah, I looked at the Americans and I looked at the Canadian rankings, and those are the top. They were the top 2 teams, and they are both very good. They're probably the 2 best U16 teams in the world. I mean, maybe there's some team in Russia or Sweden or something, but they are both very good hockey teams.
Cool. I like that. Sorry. Back to the Stoff Market.
Wow, that is impressive indeed. Speaking of impressive, the U15 AA kicked off its sked this Monday with a rematch of one of the best playoff series in the GTHL last season. You were there, Puffy. How did it turn out?
Well, Stoff, a turn of good fortune for me. The GTHL schedule makers had the 4th-ranked Scarborough Young Bruins against the 13th-ranked West Hill Golden Hawks at Scotia Pond right after Austin's U13 Ticat game. And just like last season, the Golden Hawks came out on top with a late goal to win 1-0. West Hill returned almost the entire roster from last year that made the East final and will be looking to break into the upper echelon of the East Division this season.
Well, best of luck to them. There is nothing more exciting than the start of your GTHL career in your first season. So, Puffy, which U10 teams are you buying into?
Well, the U10 Single A Leaside Flames started their season off strong, going 6-0, sweeping through the Aurora Early Bird Tourney with a plus 37 goal differential, and they continued their fine play in their G opener, beating the Markham Islanders 9-2. They're the highest ranked G team at the moment, 19th in Ontario, and we know how hard it is for the Single A teams to compete with those small town teams that have those double and triple A ringers on their rosters. But I expect them to continue to make their way up the rankings and the Stoff Market.
Nice. Oh, those ringers, those dirty ringers. Got to put a stop
country,
to it.
Bradford, all you country bumpkins always have these kids just stashed away playing Single A.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Now, the Stoff Market is usually about looking at individual teams, but is there an organization that has caught your attention early this season, Puffy?
Well, Stoff, last week we talked about the impressive turnaround with the 2012 U13 AAA Toronto Titans. Will the good vibes continue as they're off to 2-0 start this season, which is more wins than they had in a single GTHL season in this age group. But more good news on the Titans front is the 2011 U14 team that finished 11 out of 13 teams last season is off to a quick 2-0 start with tight wins over the Nats and Rebels. They have taken their share of lumps over the past few years, but things are looking up in Titanland.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Things are looking up for the Titans at last. And we like to be positive on this section of the show, the Stoff Market. But is there anything that has bothered you in the opening few weeks of the season, Puffy? Just try not to get us canceled here.
I will try. But so we were down in the U.S. a couple weeks ago for the Ohio tournament, which the Ticats won. But there's something bothering me, and it's the U.S. hockey rules. I can get behind the no icing on the penalty kill, but the elimination of tag-up offsides takes all the flow out of the hockey game, and it becomes a whistle fest. I get they're trying to promote more regrouping and decision-making with the puck, but it's a horrible watch. Plus, nobody loves to call icing more than an American referee. If the puck makes it an inch over the line, no matter how slow that defenseman is skating back to get it, it's going to be called. Now, I did go against Abu, a half a G. He was always telling me to settle down with the referees, but I did lose my composure a few times. yelling.
This was though hard. Like you were explaining it last week where there was like an overhang, and so you were able to like yell from. And what happened? Did the ref yell back at you?
Well, and one of the games in the semifinal, I was on the ref pretty good about. Now it was all very good natured on my part, and he did turn and bow to me at one point.
I'm sure your anti-American rhetoric went over well.
Well, they were cheating. They were cheating stuff. It had to be said. The penalties were 11-2 in the final. It was ridiculous.
But so what's the rule you don't like? The rule you do, there's two different rules in the U.S. that like in these tournaments, right?
They have a few different rules, but the one I think I could live with is the one on a penalty kill, you can't ice the puck.
Right. So you have to, you just can't shoot it down the other end.
Yeah. So if you ice it, it's an icing like a regular,
it comes back down.
Back in your zone. So it actually does make it a lot more challenging to kill a penalty off. So I actually don't mind that rule. I actually think the NHL should adopt that. But the one is the no tag up icing offside, which means if you have a player in the offensive zone and the puck gets shot in, the whistle goes automatically. Like you don't have a chance to come back out,
not touch it and come back out. Right.
Yeah, and so all it does is turn, because basically if the puck comes out, if the defensive team puts any pressure on the defenseman, he's shooting the puck in, and then the whistle goes, and so it just turns into a whole bunch of whistles. And the game has no flow. And especially now the kids are getting older. So these games are 3 15-minute stop time periods. It feels like it's a 2-hour game with all the whistles. So
is there a reason why they do that?
So their whole emphasis is they think that by doing this, it causes the defenseman who has the puck to skate back and then make a pass and the team to regroup before entering the zone. So instead of just having teams dumping it in all the time, it's about, keeping the puck and
practice some breakouts and stuff.
For sure. So, I mean, I get the idea behind it, but I just don't think it actually happens. It's not like the U.S. and the World Juniors is this regrouping force that the rest of the world can't handle. Like, I think that it's just too difficult, especially in youth hockey, for them to. And the rest of the world hasn't adopted this rule at all. So I think it's a stupid rule. You
should organize a change.org.
Yes.
Well, good thing we have a podcast to talk about it and complain about it. So
exactly,
giving it a voice now.
We're giving it a voice.
My number one problem with the United States.
That's the number
they
one.
They fixed that. They'll be gold.
Everything's good. Everything's good.
All right, boys. Another memorable edition of the Stoff Market.
Stoff Market. I like it.
Next week.
Thanks, Stoffy.
See you next week, Stoff.
Hey, so Puff, I had a question, and so the odd time I get questions when I'm at the game,
yes.
And I think maybe because people think I may know the answer, but I always come up with the same answer, which is I don't know. Let me ask Puff. So in this one, the question was around hockey tournaments. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but someone was like, "Hey, listen, we're Ted Reeve, we're a big organization. We have lots of single A and double A teams all the way up. And why don't we have a tournament?" And my answer was like, I don't know. I guess it's maybe like timing of tournaments, because there's a lot of tournaments to join and like the popularity, and someone's already kind of got that weekend. And maybe it's just the organization doesn't want to put one on, or there's not enough rinks around the area to hold a Ted Reeve one, for instance, or something like that. Mm-hmm. But like, how do you have any insight on like how easy it is to just start a tournament? And I guess I'll follow it up with, I've noticed that there's like some of the influencers that we see on like Instagram or YouTube, they kind of have tournaments now. They seem to be in the summer though. Maybe those were free weekends, but like, do you have any insight on like, could we just start a tournament, like a Ted Reeve tournament or a To the Rink tournament? How does that work?
Yeah, I think you sort of answered your question. Like with I think a lot of it for the organizations is, it's a lot of time to put on these, like to organize these tournaments, and you have to have the arena access to be able to, you need an arena that usually it's got to be a multi-patter, which we really don't have that many of them in the GTHL. So you're talking about one of the Canland rinks, a Chesswood, Vaughan
like a
Village, Scotia Pond. Yeah, one of those Buckingham things. So, and those are already super busy. So I guess, if Ted Reeve wanted to host a tournament, they could rent one of those facilities out, but then it's also not really a Ted Reeve tournament, right? So, and
is it a moneymaker for the club? Is that why they do them?
I think there is some money to be made in the tournaments, but I don't know if it's worth a major hassle if you're talking about having and it'd probably be more moneymaker if you if you own the rink or like had the access is already your ice.
Right.
I think it's
right.
Probably you make less money if you're renting the ice out.
And I guess too, in answering my own question, is a lot of weekends are already full. Like the Brian Steele is always that weekend before Thanksgiving. You know, your like Silver Sticks, your like whatever tournaments you join. You know, they're pretty locked into those weekends. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of rinks are full with house leagues, right, in the city.
That's right. Yeah, we have to do house league this year with Clive. We're on a house league team. Yeah, Boston Gold 2.
Boston Gold, nice.
Boston Gold 2 is our team. I don't know. Maybe there's 2 Boston Golds. I don't know. We're 2. Who knows? Maybe there was a deal on jerseys. All right. Well, that's good to know. All right. So you've got a game on Friday. I've got my game Sunday. Busy week. So I guess anything else that we have on our agenda today to make sure that we get it out?
No, I don't think so. I think that's probably covered.
I kind of messed up last week because I said, oh, we'll have Duthie on after this one, but it's not really true. This episode will drop first, episode 48, and now we'll get into our interviews. So we'll have our interview with Duthie sometime early next week after the Thanksgiving weekend, and then we'll get into our cadence and our sequence kind of right then. So I messed up a bit. We'll have this episode, and then we'll get into our interviews. Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay, good. So then other than that, I don't think there's much more to talk about. So I think we're moving on to our song of the week, which Stoff reminded us last week because you did a killer song and I did a Japan Droid song. Yes. And I introduced the Japan Droids and like as if I've never talked about them. And then I also commented on the Killers, Mr. Brightside, like as if I've never said it. Stoff reminded me both those things were said last season, you know, because you did pick Mr. Brightside at one point and I had another Japan Droid song. So sorry for the listeners. If anyone happened to notice, we basically just copied something we did last year and which is pretty sad because we're only 48 episodes in and we're already stealing.
It's true
in the past, but
we should
regardless, we should do more. So your song of the week. Let's go with you first. You got a big song that's coming out for everybody?
Thunderstruck ACD. No.
Eminem, lose yourself.
Mine is Power, Kanye West.
Oh, just a oldie but a goodie.
Barrett has been playing that constantly in the last week or so in the car. So it now comes up on my, those Spotify DJs.
Yeah.
I play my songs, and all of a sudden Power came on. I'm like, it's a good tune. It's a good hype tune.
Kanye is like, he's a tricky one, right? Because like he has some really great songs. Like he really great songs. He also has a lot of terrible songs. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Like I'll listen to a Kanye album and it's like 1 or 2 gems, and then the rest I don't really like much at all.
But hold on 1 second on that. Yeah. Do you think that is better than having like a bunch of good songs?
I think in this day and age, it's fine because I don't buy CDs. In the era of buying CDs, I'd be like, oh man, like the 2 hits I want to hit on this one, and I don't listen to the rest of the album. And not only don't listen to it, it's garbage. But now I just, in the age we live in today, I would just put on like Essentials by Kanye, and you'd have all the hits kind of thing. So you're able to filter through the crap. And people don't really buy albums anymore. The only time, actually, for the first time, I believe, like maybe a couple of years ago, vinyl has outsold CDs now again. So like CDs came out, obviously crushed everything, and now vinyl is back as the number one. So that's really the only albums people buy now, I guess, is on vinyl.
Do people buy CDs at all?
I
wouldn't even know where to get a CD.
I don't even know where you get a CD anymore. No, I think some.
Maybe some countries.
Yeah. And I also think it's like a hipster thing now, probably is my guess. It's like, we have CD, like, because there's a few bands that put out tapes,
Oh, that's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, but like, who has a tape player? Like, nobody. I get it. Like, it's cool. It's nostalgic. It's like, we're a little different, but like, no one has a tape player that like really listen to. And when I buy vinyl, I usually buy live albums or best ofs too. So I'm even like less and less about the full album, unless it's a classic.
Yes.
Anyway, my song is one from Ozzy. He's been playing. He played it for me, and Ozzy always brings new music to me. And 50% of the time, it's like a rapper that I've never heard of, and usually don't like. I'll be honest, and which I sound like my parents, but I really like a lot of rap and hip hop. But like, there's a lot of stuff out now I just do not like. And the other half's country, and it's usually coming from car rides that he's been with you and Tanya, or from camp. So those are sort of the two areas of music that filter in through Ozzy and come out. This one was an anomaly because it was on the rap side, and I really liked it. And it's this guy named Big X the Plug. Do you know him?
No.
Okay, Big X the Plug. It's the THA too. It's all one word. He's got this song Texas. I mean, it has some wouldn't be GTHL approved in the change room song.
Yes,
but it's a good flow. It's a great song. I really like it, and I've been telling Ozzy I'm really into Big X the Plug now. He's hot. You could play it for Barrett now.
Okay, we'll get it in the car going for the next the game on Friday night.
Big X the Plug, Texas. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, with that, I think that's our episode number 48 done. And week 1 on their way. So thanks everyone for listening. I've been told to mention to subscribe to us because that is really a great metric for us. So if you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe, like, share with your friends, tell anyone you want about our pod. We love it. We love having any feedback. If you have any feedback, please DM us. If you have any thoughts on guests or topics you'd like us to cover, again, please send us notes. We're all ears. Other than that, we really appreciate everything. Puff, anything else for the end of the week here?
Keep an eye out for me. Thursday night, I am making an appearance on the beginning of our Devils Leafs preview show.
Okay.
Pregame show.
Thursday night.
I'll be making
tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, so Stoff better turn this
around. Or hopefully you saw me.
Hopefully you saw you if you're listening. Yeah. Actually, I got a funny story. I was having dinner with someone quickly here, and I was explaining, I have this podcast, and I do it with you. And I mentioned, because it gives me credibility. I'm like, he works for TSN, and he knows these people, and does all this stuff, and the person I was talking to is a huge hockey fan, watches every Leaf game and watches TSN all the time, and like knows all you guys. He's like, I'm like, he's a producer on the show, whatever. What's your show called? Is it just called like Hockey
NHL and
Canada, whatever? And
whatever. NHL and TSN, yeah.
And I'm like, he's a producer on that. And like the odd time they call him out, and he's like, who is it? And I was like, his name's Puffy. He's like, I know Puffy. I know who they're calling out when they Puffy. So have someone, I met someone who knows you only through a panel calling out Puffy the odd time, but definitely knew exactly who you were. Not maybe face to face, but when I said that's who I do the podcast with, street cred for me.
Well, it'd be like for the few people that know that they'll be very excited to see me then on camera.
Yes,
it'll be a little bit of one of those Easter eggs for our hardcore TSN hockey viewers.
All right, well, good. Well, hopefully people see you there again. Thanks everybody for listening. We really appreciate it. Stoff, thanks so much for the Stoff Market update, and everyone have a great week in the G. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.